What's up, math fans? It's about that time again. Yes, for the Bulls to make the playoffs, but also midterms are coming up. So here's some questions that might, wink wink, might be on your math midterm. This is algebra specifically. So here's a couple of questions. One, they might give you something like this and they'll say simplify, and it looks a little bit crazy. And the thing about tests is a lot of times big tests don't give you exactly what you learned, and that's a lot of students' problem is they're like, oh my god, I didn't learn this. They're actually testing your ability to use what you know to figure out new stuff. So technically you did learn this already. I actually have a video on dividing by a monomial, so you can check my video on that, and I'm going to run through this. You should remember that you have a bunch of stuff on top, but you only have one thing on the bottom. You're going to divide individually, one at a time. So first I'm going to do 12x to the third divided by 2x, and my rules are divide the coefficient and subtract the exponents if I have the same base. Lucky for you, we do. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, x to the third, and this is of course an x to the first. Don't forget that 1. We got to stop reminding you, you just have to know by now. So that's going to give me x to the second power, okay? If you can't see that, I'll switch. So this is 6x to the second power. Now I have a minus sign, so that's going to be a minus sign there. 6x to the second power. Minus 6 divided by 2 is 3. X squared divided by x is x. Plus sign, and a lot of people like to say, oh, that cancels out, so I'm done. I don't need the plus sign. Yes, you do. 2 divided by 2 doesn't just disappear. It is 1. X divided by x doesn't just disappear. It's also 1, but 1 times 1 is still 1. So there is my final answer. You did know that. Here's something that you definitely know. Multiplying binomials. That's another video of mine. Go through it. You'll see a couple of ways to do it. I'm going to run through what I call FOIL, or the distributive property. So this gives me 4x squared minus 6x. This is going to give me plus 6x, because that's positive 3 times positive 2 with an x. So that's plus 6x. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Of course, you know instinctively to look for like terms, and you finish with 4x squared minus 9, because my like terms plus 6 minus 6 or negative 6 plus 6 cancel out 0. Don't write the 0. So you're done. Now the question here is, I want to push you a little further. Could you look at this question and instinctively know the answer without working it out on paper? You should get comfortable with it. If you do enough of these, you will. I see my 2x and my 2x. That's going to give me 4x squared. I know for sure 3 times 3 is negative 9. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And then you just have to be able to see that if one symbol is plus, the other symbol is minus, and they're the same number, the middle terms are going to cancel out. So even though it's considered FOIL, FOIL, you're really only doing the F and the L, because you know the outer and the inner cancel out. Goodbye. All right? This is a special case, and my answer is considered a difference of two perfect squares. I'm saying the word difference because there's a minus sign. There's two terms here, and they are both perfect squares. I hope you memorize your perfect squares. Also, if you don't, use a calculator. Perfect squares are numbers who has a factor times itself gives you that number. 4 is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square, 16, 25, 49, 81, 100, numbers like that. Those are all perfect squares. So this is a special case. Now, what if they gave you this and they asked you to factor it? When they use the word factor, it means what times what gave me this. So you should now have to go backwards, and even though you never learned this question, you learned this question. So you're just asking yourself, where did this come from? Go backwards in your brain. It came from something canceling out, it came from something times something, and your brain has to remember, oh, it came from here, all right? And another thing is perfect square. X squared is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square, y squared is a perfect square. So where did this come from? It came from two factors. It came from a 2x times a 2x to give me the 4x squared. It came from a plus 3y and a minus 3y to give me the negative 9y squared. And you're guaranteed that the two middle terms cancel out. That's why when you check your work, instead of doing FOIL, you just have to do the first and the last, and it'll work. If you don't believe me, do all 4, and the same thing will happen. It'll cancel. All right? So use what you know to learn something new. Now let's go over here. This is definitely a combination of stuff you know and some new stuff too. You want to add fractions, so the answer should be 10 over 6x, right? No way. It's not 10 over 6x. You need a common denominator. Hopefully you went to 3rd grade and you learned all about common denominators. A lot of people say, oh, that was a long time ago. Well, I'm reminding you, you need a common denominator. One big slice of pizza plus a small slice of pizza, it's not fair. It's not the same size. Size, right? So, I need the same size. I got a 2 here and a 4 here. I'm going to multiply by 2 because multiplying by 2 will give me a 4, which I have over there already. So, of course, you remember this in 3rd grade. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Denominator, numerator. So, multiply by 2 on top. My new fraction is 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4x plus 7 over 4x. Now, any 3rd grader could do it. Just add straight across the top. 6 plus 7 is 13 over 8x, right? No. 4x, keep the common denominator. You got to remember that from 3rd grade. Stays 4x. And that is your final answer. All right? Look at this one. If you learned anything, you can do this on your own. We're good. Just to make sure, stick around. So let's see here. I wish I had a common denominator. Oh, I do. It's not that crazy. They're both exactly the same. Just add the top. 3x squared plus x squared. Ooh, those are like terms. This is so easy. There's a 1 here. 3 plus 1 is 4x squared. Keep the bottom the same. And what I thought was a difficult problem is actually probably the easiest one on the board. All right? Good luck on your test. See ya.